time to find out what happens to the Christmasaurus. It's chapter 17, A Dinosaur in the House. The Christmasaurus landed with a crash in the fireplace. Luckily, the fire hadn't been lit, because Mr. Trundle knew that you should never light your fire on Christmas Eve. The dinosaur got to his feet and stepped out into William's empty living room. The Christmasaurus had never been in a room like this before. He'd only ever known the large, oversized, magical rooms of the North Pole Ranch, and they were far grander than this wonky little room. But there was something he instantly liked about it. Something felt cosy, warm, happy. He could sense that the people who lived here were full of love. But there wasn't time to look around. He was desperate to see Stuffy one last time. He had to find his toy, say goodbye, and get back up to the sleigh before Santa caught him. He was being very naughty. His dinosaur eyes scanned the room, searching for any sign of the spotty wrapping paper or shiny red ribbon. But there was nothing. There was a small Christmas tree, about the size of an elf. He'd never seen one so tiny before, which had a scattering of small presents underneath it, but none of them was Stuffy. Santa must have put it in William's room. The Christmasaurus knew that Santa did that sometimes, so he tiptoed out of the living room, sniffing the beige patterned carpet, following the scent of Santa, who smelt like fresh mint chocolate and tangerines. The door to the next room was slightly ajar, and through the crack the Christmasaurus could just make out the shape of a small bed. Sitting in a slither of a moonbeam on the bedroom floor was the beautifully wrapped, dinosaur-shaped present for which he was searching. He slipped inside William's bedroom, but paused for a moment to take in all the wonderful dinosaur pictures and toys and books and posters and wallpaper. He'd never seen so much dinosaur stuff before. It was dino awesome. As his eyes circled the room, they came back to Stuffy, perfectly wrapped on the bedroom floor. He crept across the room as carefully as he could until he was face to face with the stuffed dinosaur's nose would be. Through a small slit in the wrapping paper, he could just make out the soft glow of the toy's golden button eyes staring out. The Christmasaurus took a deep breath. This was it. This was goodbye. Goodbye to the first and only dinosaur friend he'd ever had. He gave it a crumpled hug through the wrapping paper, and over its cuddly shoulder he saw William lying snugly asleep in his bed. It was at that moment that the Christmasaurus suddenly felt a funny feeling in his tummy, like the sinking sort of feeling you get when you drive over a bridge really fast. He glanced around the room at the photos of William and Mr. Trundle, then at the empty wheelchair next to the bed. He huffed a deep sigh through his nostrils and then straightened up the present so that it looked as close to Elf Perfect as possible. It was time to let Stuffy go. That's when he heard it. Flush, stomp, stomp. It was the unmistakable sound of the toilet flushing, followed by Santa's boots stomping speedily down the hallway. Stomp, stomp, stomp! He was marching faster, and the Christmasaurus saw his jolly round shadow pass William's bedroom door. Santa was already in the living room. "Ooh, a carrot, my favourite," he heard Santa whisper before crunching into his treat. The Christmasaurus panicked. If he didn't make it back up onto the roof before Santa, then he would be left behind. He turned clumsily on the spot, and with a thud his long tail swung round behind him, knocking off every book on William's bookshelves. All the books about dinosaurs, of course. Then he took a great leap towards the door, but his clunky dinosaur claws got caught in Stuffy's wrapping ribbon, and the Christmasaurus went bumbling across to the other side of the bedroom, smash whacking into the wardrobe. As you can imagine, this made such a clatter that William woke up in an instant. "What's going on?" he said through a yawn, rubbing his sleepy eyes open. As the room came into focus, William saw a large spotty present sitting beyond the foot of his bed, hand tied with a red ribbon. But the ribbon had come undone. His eyes followed the loose red ribbon along the floor until it reached a large, scaly foot. The ribbon was caught round the Christmasaurus's claw, all tangled in knots. Before William could blink, before he could scream, before he could think, before he could even do anything whatsoever, the Christmasaurus bolted out of the room at 100 miles an hour, dragging the present behind him. William scrambled out of bed into his waiting wheelchair and chased after them. The Christmasaurus burst into the small cosy living room just in time to see Santa's big black boots disappear magically up the chimney. He roared a panicked roar and dived towards the fireplace, trampling over presents and tripping over the miniature Christmas tree in the process, sending decorations flying through the air and scattering over the floor. But that didn't stop the Christmasaurus. He crawled into the fireplace and looked up the chimney, which now seemed far too small for even an elf to get through. He tried desperately to jump, climb and claw his way up it, but it was no use. Santa's magic had worn off, and the chimney flue had deflated back to its normal size. Then came the worst noise of all, the clopping of hooves, accompanied by soft Christmas music, echoed down the chimney, then all of a sudden seemed to disappear completely. The Christmasaurus let out a howl-like roar up the chimney into the sky above, but it was too late. They had gone. The Christmasaurus had been left behind. It was at that moment that a bright round light switched on like a spotlight. It was a shaky, wobbly light. It was coming from a torch in William's nervous hands as he sat in his wheelchair at the doorway, looking at a dinosaur in his home. I'll see you next time for chapter 18.